So for my dual language advocacy project, I chose the third topic to develop an active website to focus on the education of and advocacy for dual language enrichment. So this is my first time ever creating a web page, so it was interesting, sometimes a little bit challenging, but what I based it on was a lot of the content that we have been learning in class, and what I've also been sharing with teachers and colleagues and things, to make us passionate about dual language education. So I start off with a basic overview and the question, why dual language education? And in that I touch on how the world right now, everything is at our fingertips, and because we are so easily connected globally, it only makes sense, that with the world getting smaller, that we catch up with the rest of the world, which the majority of the world is bilingual or multilingual. So it would only be best for our future. So I take that angle that it is what's best for our future, for our students, of course, but for our country as well. And so through that, I try to focus on some of the things, like for example, the dual language features and the factors for success we had in the readings, just to give that overview of what are the bilingual goals, what are the bilingual features, or the dual language features, even if there's differences in programs, and what are the factors that will lead to that success. So I also wanted to go in on language as a right, on the ideology of language as a right. So I went ahead and touched on that through chapter 89, how students have a right to learn in their first language and to use the first language instructionally in their learning. And so through that, I also went ahead and decided to go into the language, to the history of dual language education or bilingual education. So I wanted to touch on what I have had conversations about, even with my students or with other colleagues, teachers, about, for example, the EdCouch walkouts, and how this is something that people have been fighting for, that it's only what's right, because it's part of our identity, part of the students' identities, and so that they do have the right to have that in school as well. In another section on the website, I go to the other ideology of language as a resource. So in this one, I want to show how through language maintenance, we use that first language as an instructional resource or tool. So this can be, this is where I mentioned the benefits, the social and financial benefits of being bilingual. And again, the brain research on the benefits of bilingualism also, which we've gone through the readings, which has already been shared with colleagues as well. So it only fits naturally in this project too. And from here, I also wanted, since it's a language as a resource, go into the Thomas and Collier studies. And so I wanted to show the Thomas and Collier to show the different models in which that language maintenance is being used as a resource. And again, from there show, well, from all these models where language is a resource, we can see where the best findings were with the dual language models instead of the transitional. And I also wanted to take a point to mention about the challenges that are affecting ELLs as well as the dual language programs. And from there mentioned the high stakes testing and how that can lead to the dissolution of the dual language models also, but again, how it's not a very fair practice when it comes to our ELLs. So I decided to include that in there again, because we're trying to fire people up about the reasons that we should have dual language education. So once we have the challenges, I also went ahead and mentioned how we can advocate. What can people at different levels or different stakeholders do to advocate for dual language education or for ELLs in general. And also, again, because we want to extend this to parents also, I wanted to extend a part of the section dedicated to parental involvement, more along the lines of what tips for parents of dual language learners, what are some articles that they can read through for other ideas. So I went ahead and gave some links for the parents too, and some resources, for example, like the Duolingo, where you can practice, anywhere to develop your second language. And I still wanted to add some more resources there, but for now, those are some that have already been shared with teachers or parents even. So I wanted to put those in there since they have been. Another section was going to be for videos and resources, again, that we've been sharing with campuses or with teachers. I know some of the schools that I visit, we've even talked about some of the TED Talks. I know somebody in my group had mentioned the No Child Left Monolingual, which was a really good one because we want to, again, advocate for dual language or multilingualism. Videos on the current trends, like translanguaging or pedagogy, like the preview review, basic strategy, how can I use that, and some theory, input-output hypothesis from Krashen and Merrill Swain, because in either language you need to be doing this so that we can be languaging. And finally, wanted to include a photograph gallery from photos that we've been sharing with our district, again, limited to more like your anchor charts and instructional resources instead of our student videos or our teacher videos because of privacy. So I wanted to be well-rounded in all these areas. So I also added a contact page where I can be reached in case somebody says, oh, there's something else that we can add, or just to get suggestions and feedback further. And that is my project. Thank you.